That's honey. So we get the cheese in our stomach. We gonna go crazy with it.
Yo, welcome to another episode of 1,000 Hours Out the Mud. It's your boy JF3 checking in, man. Shout out to that boy Rashard, still out on the way doing his thing on the field.
Yes, sir.
We miss you, my brother. Today we got us a special one. Like we told y'all, this podcast is gonna be bigger than sports. And, you know, as athletes, we train our bodies so physically all the time, but the game is always 80% mental, 20% physical. And the part that we have to always take into account is the mental strength, the mental capacity to be able to be at the top level of anything in life, not just being an athlete, but just anywhere in life. Today we have us a special guest, somebody that's very near and dear to me. He's a former college athlete,
Yes, sir.
a husband, a father, man of God,
Yes.
mental health therapist, somatic therapist, the owner and proprietor of Touchdown Therapy here in
sir.
Tampa, Florida. Got none other than Coach B, man. What's going on? Welcome
Hey,
to
I
the
appreciate
show.
that.
Nah, for sure, man.
I love that. I love that.
You know, this one been in the works for a while.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, I've been a very big advocate of mental health.
Yes.
I'm new to it. You know, been in it about a year and a half, 2 years now. But
Yes, sir.
actually, I lied. Since I got into the pros, I started tapping into mental health, whether it's with, you know, therapists on teams
Yes.
or, you know, I always just felt like to be able to push through things. A lot of
Yes.
people don't know what you have to do as an athlete to push through mentally. You know, the monotonous of every day doing the same thing day in, day out, whether you on a team or not on a team, is different challenges.
Yes.
And I know one thing you've told me is that the problem will never change, but the way we respond and handle it must
Yes.
change.
It must change.
And I think it was something, you know, that I obviously wanted to be a face for mental health because I know what it's done for me in my life personally.
Yes, sir.
And I feel like if it can help me, it can help everybody else.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? We've been able to been blessed to be in the 1%, but we represent the 99%.
Yes.
And you know, that's what 1,000 Hours Out the Mud is about. So, you know, I'm eager for this one, and I'm
Yes.
eger for everybody to learn and really
Yes.
tune in and understand and listen, because this could really be life changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready, man.
So, man, let's start. Let's you know, introduce yourself to the people.
Again, my name is Coach B. I am the owner operator of Touchdown Therapy. I've been at it for a while now. I just opened up my agency roughly in July. Just launched my brand new agency. Right now, it's the #1 agency in Tampa. So go out there and vote for me right now.
Congrats on
Go
that.
vote.
Congrats on
I'm the nominee for the #1 therapist in the Tampa Bay area right now. So hopefully we lock that in, bring that to the home base. But therapy is something that we need, man. It's something that we really need. Like, not something that we want, not something that we need it. As a culture, we really, really need to tap into a therapist, a culturally appropriate therapist at that.
How did you get into therapy?
My wife is a therapist, you know, and for me, and what my thought process was for years is that Black men, we don't become therapists, we become just life coaches and just counselors or mentors. But meeting my wife, and she was on the pathway to therapy, haven't quite broken through with her own agency, but she was already, you know, souped up from Florida State, bachelor's, master's, you name it. She just took that extra step to open up her own agency, and I tried to, you know, of course, support her and give her that confidence that she needed to say, hey, babe, you can do this. We good. We don't need the other agencies. We can do this by yourself. And with that support, she launched her agency, I want to say 5-6 years ago in May. And now seeing that it was a space out there for a Black male to kind of come in and be a therapist, I didn't want to go back to school and get a master's degree, but I had to go back to school and get a master's degree to make this thing happen.
Right.
And that's what I did, because I was a part of the problem. Like, back in the day, we always said we need more Black men to be therapists so we can go to therapy. We don't go to therapy because people don't look like us. And I just got tired of talking about it. And I had to realize and mature myself that I was a part of that problem. So once I stopped talking about it, and my wife then put it better in my back to go do my own thing and open up my own agency, that's what I did. So now I'm a part of the solution. So now people can't say, we don't have therapists that look like us. I'm here. I'm part of the culture.
Right.
I'm cut from that cloth. I talk like you talk. My background and upbringing was just like yours. You know, so I'm culturally appropriate. So when people sit down on that couch from me, across from me, they can see them. You know, I can relate to them on a different level. I can talk their talk on a different level. I can talk to your mama, your auntie, your brother, your sister, your dad, you know, from that childhood trauma perspective and from a perspective before you get married, after you get married, a perspective of you having a baby, your girlfriend, your baby mama, your wife is pregnant. Any perspective you want to go, we can talk about it and chop it up. And I can help you along the way, move that needle forward to where you can become a better you.
You were a college athlete.
Yes, sir.
Did you seek therapy when you were playing college?
No, it was something that I was missing because I didn't understand what therapy was and how to really use that as a vehicle to be a better me. Therapy wasn't talked about in the households. It was just something that was taboo. You go to church. You don't crazy people go to therapy. That's what
Right.
it was. That's how it was presented to me.
Right.
So we just never tapped in. But once I understood what it was and how it was, it just made sense. Like if I know now, if I would have known then what I know now, I would have always been in therapy. Probably since, if I had to choose, maybe elementary school, middle school, I would have been in therapy. I would have had to go to therapy because it was things happening to me then, or my environment just wasn't what it needed to be then, to where I needed to tap into an OG. I needed to tap into a therapist at that point because I needed it at that point to kind of help me through these years. But luckily, I was able to. God had His arms around me and His hands around me to where I didn't make any detrimental mistakes before really knowing what therapy was or is. And now I'm able to just have that cheat code now. And now I'm on this side of the fence, and I know what's really going on, and I know how to control my emotions and how to utilize these coping skills that I've learned over the years.
Have you, fast forward to, using college and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
When was it that you yourself sought out therapy?
It wasn't until my first time going to therapy was, I was maybe 26, 27 years old. I went to an anger management therapist, a few times. And I went for about, I want to say, anywhere between 4 to 7 sessions. It was it was a lady therapist, a white lady that did the therapy. She was nice. I just didn't feel that she was able to relate to me and how I really was feeling. Of course, she went through her curriculum and, gave me the steps with anger, controlling my emotions. But afterwards, I would still find myself in the same predicaments, not being able to control my emotions. And again, it really wasn't until I met my wife who was able to take that chance and say, I need to help you in a different way. She didn't bash me, and she didn't talk like I'm a good person around the board, solid, straightforward, but just kind of rough around the edges. I didn't know how to hone that in and reel that in because nobody's taught me how to do that. So whenever I met her, roughly right around 10 years ago, it just changed my life. It changed my life to where it just shot it through the roof with my potential of, I've always had the potential, but when I met her, now I'm able to showcase the potential. So the person you see now is the person after I met my wife, and that's kind of the finished product of Coach B.
Yeah, man, I could definitely relate to that. I sought out therapy because of my now wife.
Yes, sir.
It's
Yes, sir.
you know what I'm saying? That's how you know. It was really
Yes.
because, You know, I knew she was something special when she got me to start opening up and talking. I was a very
Yes.
closed off person.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, all right, she different.
Yes.
This was getting me to do stuff that I wasn't comfortable doing, I wasn't used to doing. But you know, that's when I decided I felt like I needed to lock in, you know,
Yes.
pay attention, and you know, luckily, thank God, it all worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But do you feel because because being an athlete,
Yes.
you were a former athlete, and knowing athletes
Yes.
at the time you sought out therapy, that's kind of about the same, maybe about the same age.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like it was due to a loss of identity walking away from sports? Partially, not maybe the full reason.
Ask the question again.
Like, okay, I'm gonna use me for example.
Yes, sir.
I went to therapy. I started going to therapy just because, you know, a lot of things I felt like wasn't happening the way it should
Yes.
with football specifically. You know, I was getting really released. I was getting hurt. And, you know, I'm always one that always, you know, can't cheat the grind. You know what I'm saying? I put in the work. I put in the time. And I don't cheat the game.
Yes.
But I just felt like I kept always getting the short end of the stick.
Yes.
So, you know, with that, I just kind of got tired of having to always prove myself, always prove myself, and it get exhausting, you know. But going to therapy kind of taught me that that's my superpower.
Yes.
You know, to keep overcoming. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps giving me opportunity to, you know, not be a statistic and overcome that adversity. So just, you know, I had to switch my perspective and stop, you know, complaining, and not necessarily complaining about it or just being exhausted and being tired of it.
Yes, sir.
But just understanding and knowing that, like, that's what's got me to where I'm at today.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of that came from football, where a lot of my problems I thought were little because they weren't, you know, one of my family members have cancer. It wasn't I lost one of my parents, or I had a traumatic experience when I first started going to therapy. I didn't have too much of that growing up. You know what I'm saying? You know, lost family members and people like that, but not to the extent where, like, I hear other people's stories like, dang, like, you really been through some shit.
Yeah.
Mine's has kind of always been centered around this game that I love and dedicated my life to.
Yes, sir.
But to me, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
But I was suppressing it for
Yes.
so long.
Yep.
And to me, I was starting to make it seem like it's not that big of a deal because my brother that I know is going through a whole nother situation where he's,
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? And why, like, what I'm going through, I'm still straight, you know what I'm saying? I'm still able to play in the NFL and have this and have that. Mind you, he going through this, but, you know what I'm saying? I was, you know, just suppressing my feelings.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's what made me, you know what I'm saying? Ultimately, you know, bottle it, and you just end up erupting.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Out of nowhere. And just kind of learning about why it took me all the way back to Little League when all of this started.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't even think about it like that.
Oh, yeah.
So for all of those years, I'm 29 years old right now. For 29, but sorry, I started going for 27. For 27 years, I was just carrying stuff that I didn't even realize I was carrying.
Yep. Yes,
And
sir.
like, that's what I mean. Did yours start from there? Because I feel like a lot of athletes, once, you know, their sport starts a lot of stuff where we don't really think that it might not be a big deal, but it is a big deal to us because it is our life. It is our identity. That's what we chose to do.
Yes. It's the vehicle that we chose. You know, sports is that's why I started touchdown therapy for the it started off with professional athletes like yourself, you know, just giving y'all guys an outlet to just be yourself and to kind of get away from the game and just be vulnerable. Because you're not vulnerable in behind closed doors. At least you can be vulnerable with a person that's cut from that cloth as you. But for me, when I played football, I was able to. My uncle Isaac always told me, you can be as aggressive as you want to be on that football field. You have so much anger and so much rage because growing up, how I grew up, I was always angry and feeling some type of way about certain things because childhood trauma in my world, it was real. It was real. And I didn't know how to compartmentalize those feelings. I didn't know how to I didn't know how to deal with certain things. I didn't have any emotional management skills. I didn't know how to sit down and like just have a nice casual conversation, talk to someone about just about how I feel. So football did that for me. You know, and when I played defense, I really tried to hurt people. Like for real. It was the only place I could really hurt someone and get away with it. So I look forward to playing football and to going to practice and looking at film for hours and hours and hours. I got addicted to it. So whenever I went to college up there, when the University of Kentucky, University of Cumberland in Kentucky, it was I had shoulder injury after shoulder injury after shoulder injury. So from my high school, my senior year in high school, until maybe 3-4 years into college, I had a shoulder injury and surgery every single year. So it just derailed it, and I was never 100% at my full potential or strength going into the season because I just got off rehab the summer before. So once football was over for me, and I know that when a couple of scouts came down, and it was just more so, you're just not strong enough. You have the body frame, and if we would have done the surgeries, we would probably take you on our team or put you on the practice squad first or whatnot. That whole back and forth, it just started to settle in. So now I have nowhere to push my anger. I have nowhere to let this frustration out. Not understanding and knowing that football has always been that place where I push that anger and that frustration out, and now I don't know where to put it. So now it came out whenever I'm having conversations with girlfriends. It came out when I'm having conversations with family members. It came out when I'm trying to, like you say, trying to find my identity. I didn't know who I need to be, I had no idea. I don't know how to be a good father. I can kind of see what I shouldn't do, what I should, but nobody taught me how to be. I didn't have that example of how to be that great father. I didn't have that example on how to be a great son or a great boyfriend or a great husband. I didn't know. So a little bit it was that identity piece, but when I look back at it, the anger and the frustration in that childhood trauma piece started from before I can even imagine. It started back then. So I had that inner child that was always being activated because I never felt like I was heard. So whenever I was getting to a back and forth with the wife, the inner child shows up, and now I'm screaming. But my wife is right here. Why am I screaming, John?
She hear you.
She hear me. And I'm screaming to the top of my lungs. I'm, stomping off. I'm slamming doors, and it was just immaturity. And I had to understand what the inner child was and what that inner B was feeling, and how I didn't feel safe, and how I felt, I was, being too vulnerable to certain situations or certain to certain people, to where I had to put that aside and go to therapy and work on that. Talk to my wife and really have conversations with my wife. And she understood I can't be in husband-wife mode with my husband right now. I have to talk to him as a friend. I have to talk to him as someone that wants the best for him, or someone that needs to get over this hump. In order to be my husband, you need to get over this anger piece. I'm not the one you mad at. You need to get over this emotional piece. You need to sit on this throne like how you're meant to sit on this throne, but you can't sit on the throne how you showed up to the relationship. I love you. I cherish you. I respect you, but I will not allow you to sit on the throne in my life with these issues going on. I understand a lot of the issues stem from childhood trauma, but that's not going to be a good enough reason for me to rock out with you when you're verbally or psychologically or mentally abusing yourself. You're not respecting yourself. You're not loving yourself. You're not appreciating yourself. You're not forgiving yourself. So when you do that, then we can make it work. So I had to dig deep and find that inner child and just go talk to that man. I had to go sit down there, a lot of meditating, a lot of praying. I had to go really, really get my mind right. And again, it came from a lot of those one-on-one conversations to us sitting in the middle of the floor, crying and talking and praying and meditating, to where now, fast forward, I found the remedy to it, and I found the cheat code to it, to where it's easy for me now. Now I can teach it. Now I can show you. Now I can really, show you just that finished product, that guy at the end of the tunnel. And it feels good over here, man. I'm comfortable. I love myself. I pour into myself, and I'm trying to teach young men and professional athletes how to pour into themselves because they're worth it.
Yeah, man. I think that it's something interesting that you say that I say on a lot of episodes. Your crossroads, you hit that crossroads.
Yep.
It's like either you're gonna get right or you're gonna get left.
Yep.
That's what she basically hit you with. Not an ultimatum, it's a crossroad because it's a decision.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I think that's number one. What I've learned is the first thing, you must be able to, be real with yourself before you can be real with anybody else.
Yes, sir.
And before you want to blame, just look within. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you love yourself, you know yourself. I feel like if you know yourself, you feel me, that's all you really need in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Importance to yourself is important. That's one thing that, I've learned from you. I've always been a person to pour out into others and to, want to make sure everybody else straight just because that's just the type of person I am. But while I'm pouring out, I'm also emptying, you know what I'm saying, with nobody really pouring back into me.
Yep.
And you can't be your best self,
No.
you know what I'm saying, without taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, the crossroads is where we ultimately make that decision, which way we gonna go. Either we gonna, go and go all the way with it, or we just gonna walk away and you could have been on to the next one, now you would have missed your blessing type shit.
Sir.
You know what I'm saying? So why, I know what the stigma was before, but now, going to therapy is not the cool thing, but it's more acceptable, it's more common, it's more talked about, but you're not seeing the results.
You saying the people not seeing the results?
No, you as a therapist aren't seeing the results of, okay, now that mental health is not this, you got to be crazy to go see a therapist type shit. Like the culture and the stigma around mental health has now lessened to where it's talked about almost everything. You got advocates, you got famous people advocating towards it, but you're not seeing enough people. Your dynamic of it coming to see you hasn't changed.
No. A lot of people, again, it's talked about a lot more now. But the thing is, a lot of us, the ones that look like me and you, we're not going to become therapists. So more people are coming to therapy, but we don't see that dynamic because more of the minorities are not really, let's just say men are not coming to therapy because there's, as a minority heterosexual male, we make up the smallest percentage of any therapist group in America. So we make up 0.5% of all the therapists
in the whole country.
In the country. So you can have, 20, 30, 40 therapists in Tampa, let's say 75 therapists in Tampa. It's only a good 3 or 4 of them that's black, and then now you have to see which one of those are giving that game up, which is why people they tap in with me. It's like, Coach B, you giving it. I can see myself in you. I want to sit down with Coach B.
But out of those 3 and 4 black therapists, how many are men?
It's it's more black, but it's only 3 or 4 black male therapists.
Okay.
But it's more black women therapists, and then you got the therapists from the LGBTQ plus community, which we need, and then we just come in last in that minority piece. We come in last every single time, and think about it. Look at the athletes, the ratio of it. We have the most athletes in basketball and the most athletes in football, but we come in last when it comes to mental health support. So I'm okay with it, for people saying, you know what, Coach B is the only black therapist out there in this area. Let me tap in with them. I'm cool with it. It's no competition for me. But at the end of the day, I know that more of us will help. Just more of us, it'll just help. It'll just help overall. Because again, since they really don't see, maybe I get looked over. Maybe they look up on certain sites and I'm not there, and they just give up.
Right.
So if more of us was on different sites or on different platforms, maybe we'll be able to tap in. But I can just do do what I can do.
So majority of your clientele that you see is women based.
Yes, the majority. It's because when they tap in, first of it was the professional, it was the football athlete, the NFL guys. They tapping in, but then it became, whenever they out, on the road or whatnot. It was hey, Coach B, can you do a few sessions with my wife? She's struggling right now. She been there with the baby. You can't figure it out, and of course I'm doing their marriage and their couples therapy. So they'll hang back and do sessions, and then it just became a thing. Hey, girl, I want you to talk to Coach B. He keep it real. He gave it to you from a male's perspective, and then it just trickled down from there. And going into the community, it's like, well, Coach B, I want to have my man come talk to you, so I'm gonna come talk to you first. And it's like, wait a minute, you giving me kind of the gems on what I need to know that my man is thinking, because you cut like him. You have that mentality. You come from where he come from. So talking to you is almost like talking to him. But even though he's not here, but I'm here because I'm here because I want better for us. And it become that 90% of the clientele just became women. Again, they try to drag the husbands in, but being from that world of their parents or their environment didn't support therapy or advocate for therapy, they're just not into it. I try my best to, again, hey, this is something that you want to tap into. This is something that's going to be able to move the needle in your life. Let's make it happen. But at the end of the day, I cannot force anybody and make anybody come sit on the couch.
Yeah. Besides, the lack of representation of black male therapists, what other things or ways could you do to be able to promote and increase the attendance of just black men in general, even if they're not athletes? Like, not just you in touchdown therapy. I'm just talking about as a whole. Like, what can be done? Because if men are not showing up, not just black men, just men as a whole.
Yeah.
What can we do, or what do you think needs to be done to be able to, increase that?
It need to be talked about more. It just needs to be like just a household name. It needs to be one of those things to where it's talked about, and you're able to give somebody that plug. You're able to, prime example, when people go out and they go to a gym, they advertise, they shoot videos at the gym, they tag the gym that they working out in, right? Mm-hmm. Have you worked in the gym and posted a video you in the gym?
Yep, of course.
Have someone ever went to that gym and joined that gym because they seen you working out in that gym? Probably. Possibility. But when it comes to therapy, it's quiet. People get quiet about tapping into a therapist. People talk about it, but the viewers will say, okay, John, who is he? Where is he? Where can I find it? I hear you talking about therapy. Where do I go? Because when I look up on my search, I don't see any of these guys that comes remotely close to somebody I want to talk to. Mm-hmm. Who do I talk to? Because when you getting your body right and you getting your performance down packed, they know who you tapping into.
Right.
They see you tapping into that person over and over and over and over again. But when it comes to a therapist, it's like, okay, got it. I hear you talking about it, but who do we go to? So I would say being able to talk about it more, being able to just push that narrative more, being able to put certain therapists or certain people on that platform to have a voice more, doing what we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. You doing the work. You know what? I'm gonna let y'all see Coach B. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna let y'all know who goes into the community and really heal the hood for real. I'm gonna bring them to the platform, and that's what we need more of. I need to be on that spotlight as much as possible, to where people can say, you know what? Okay, got it. I get it, John. I get it. Let me tap into them.
Just sort of access.
Access. We need more access. And again, we need to be talked about more, but just the access to a therapy. Because again, when people go to therapy, they're doing what? They're sitting down being vulnerable about things that they've never told anybody.
Right. About
things that they'll go to the grave with. About things that the traumas or the ups and downs of their life. Things that bothers them every single day. They can't just sit down with anybody and talk about this stuff.
Facts.
It has to be someone who they feel they can trust. But a lot of people won't do that because they don't know anybody that they can trust. But if they trust John, and John trusts Coach B, and that I'm doing right by John, They like, oh yeah, I'll tap in. If they trust John and they know some of John guys have used Coach B services, it's like, okay, well, if he cool people with that group, it makes more sense now. I'm good.
Because I think that's the thing. I feel like, first coming in, when I first, started jumping into, okay, I'm gonna go see a therapist, just,
Yes, sir.
talk, who do I go to? You know what I'm saying? And, luckily in the NFL, we had, the insurance people, and they had, a list of people. And, specifically, I said I wanted a man, because although I could talk to him, I talk to my mom all the time, but
Yes,
my
sir.
mom still can't understand what it is to be a man.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I wanted a black man because that's different things that every day, just the color of your skin, you got to face that
Yes,
other
sir.
people won't be able to understand. Like, you
Absolutely.
can't say you know what it's like to be in my shoes if you're not even, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Just
sir.
being real.
Absolutely.
So as, saying somebody, okay, so I'm looking and doing all this, but if I don't have the services of the NFL to lead me to that,
Yes.
what if I'm just regular, I'm a doctor. How do I go about even looking for a therapist?
If any, and I have doctors come sit on the couch, but they will go on Psychology Today. Well, a lot of times they reach out to me on TikTok. They just type in therapy, black therapists in the area on TikTok or Psychology Today. They type in their area your area code and do maybe a 5 to 20 mile radius, and I pop up at the top of the list of that every single time in Tampa, because I'm at the top in Tampa, and just one of the top therapists on TikTok as well. But I'm right here in Tampa Bay area or in Florida. So when they look at it, it's like, okay, let me kind of see what he got going on, and they see my content. It's like, okay, I can talk to this guy, and they pull up.
So, and that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, here, in the age of social media.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I go, my wife coach volleyball, and we go to all these volleyball tournaments, and in between tournaments, kids not even eating. They over there making TikToks and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sitting there like, this what y'all doing in between games, making like they rushing to get back to the phone.
Yeah.
But here you are, using that same platform.
Yes, sir.
To just, because that's where they at. You just trying to get their attention. It's all about getting their attention. So
That's all
you
it
got to
is
go where
about.
they at. You know what I'm saying? And using that leverage to be able to bring them in and let them see, okay, he is personal. Like, he can have fun too. You know what I'm saying? He swaggy, he dressed. Okay, boom. Like, all right, maybe I'll try him.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's, testament to you really getting out there in the community.
For real.
By any means necessary.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, number one therapist rated in Tampa.
Yes, sir.
What do you have next? What's your next plans coming up to expand your brand, expand your range, and give yourself that access?
The next things we have in the works right now between me and the wife, we're trying to we're going to open up a health and wellness center. It's going to be the best health and wellness center we have in the Tampa Bay area, or let alone in Florida. With the wife, she has a few therapists as well, with the Counseling and Wellness Boutique, and again with Coach B. Owning Touchdown Therapy, we're going to try to just bring in people that is centered around that health and wellness piece. How can John come in, or John's wife, or John's homeboy, whoever, the chief of police, or somebody in the community, how can they come into a health and wellness center like mine and get that full service? So that's why we're going to have the estheticians that does the waxes for the women, and the facials, and the microblading for the eyebrows and the lashes or whatnot. We're going to have that massage therapy that does either sports massages or pregnancy massages, or just overall massages and stretches. I'm going to have that lactation consultant or doula or midwife that help that wife or that girlfriend deliver that baby. It helped them, when it comes to breastfeeding, and help them, along that journey, and make sure they're good on that end. It's for support. We're going to have someone that does IV therapy, that drip therapy, getting those nutrients replenished back into your body, and what else? And also the school element as well. I know a lot of kids now, whenever they go to school, it's just not the same as it was. So a lot of people like to homeschool their kids. We're going to have someone that can do either the private school or homeschool or tutoring for your kids as well at that center. So this should be launching in May, within the next couple months. So you be on the lookout for that.
So it's like an all-in-one
All
health
in
and
one.
wellness center.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
One-stop shop.
Absolutely.
That's dope, man. One thing I wanted to ask you about that I read in your bio on your website, somatic therapy. What's that? That's new to me. I'm pretty sure it's new to everybody else watching this.
Yeah, just with just that body movement, like where do you feel that? Where do you feel the pain? Where do you feel the trauma? Where do you feel the aches? Or what is it in your shoulders? Is it in your neck? Is it in your back? And doing that somatic therapy with maybe yoga. Like I remember I talked to you about just doing going. Let's go to yoga. Let's get more of a sensual therapeutic moment. Let's get into a different realm of therapy. And I think that Reiki healing, that sound bath, is going to be something that's going to be beneficial. It was beneficial to me whenever I first got that sound bath. Man, it was amazing. It's something that I've never experienced in my life. The first time I got a sound bath was when the wife ordered me a back massage down in Sarasota, and I feel like I was on cloud nine. And then she ordered a sound bath and aromatherapy and everything. And this lady hit this gong, and my whole body was tingling. I felt like I was gonna fall off the off the massage table. I never felt that in my life. If from the top of my head to my toes, it was tingling, and it was like, wow, I was tapped in, and I knew at that point, this somatic therapy and just therapy alone, and the massage therapy and the nutritional therapy is just all in one line, and we need that as a human race. We need that. We really need to tap into that more often than we do now.
Coach B, man, speak to the person that's considering therapy right now. Speak to the person that is on a fence of, damn, do I go? Do I don't go? What's some advice that you could leave with that person? And then that's just for the general person, but then also speak to the man.
For the person that's saying, do I go to therapy? Don't I go to therapy? Absolutely go to therapy. I think everybody should go to therapy at least, a few times in their life, but everybody should go to therapy, tap into a therapist, not because, oh, I'm crazy. Or no. Go tap into a therapist because maybe you have questions. Maybe you have concerns. Maybe you have problems. Maybe you have issues. A culturally appropriate therapist should be able to help you around the board with that. And the cool thing is, I'm a therapist, but I'm also a life coach, and I'm also a mentor, and I can also counsel. I can tap into so many different realms other than just the therapy lens of it. I can come at it in a totally different lens, and because you just may have a feeling of, man, I just want to be a good dad, Coach B, and I don't know how to be a good dad. And I don't have any issues. I'm not angry all the time, but I just want to be a good father. How do I do that? I can talk to you about that. Or, Coach B, hey, I've been feeling some stress, some depression. I feel like I'm suffering with PTSD. Some of my military guys, they come in and sit on that couch, suffering with PTSD. I haven't been seeing anybody, and the people at the VA, it's kind of like not my cup of tea. Tap in. Let's do it. So I would say, yes, you need to tap into a therapist that you feel comfortable with talking to, comfortable with opening up to, and somebody that's not going to let you off the hook. Somebody's going to hold you accountable. I'm going to hold every client I have accountable to what you say you wanted to do. If you say you want to do that, let's do that. Let's set the goal, set the treatment plan. Let's make it happen. And every time you come into the office, we're going to talk about it. Right. If we need to kind of pivot and change gears a little bit, we can do that. But I'm going to bring it right back to the point of what you said you wanted to come in here for. Now, as far as the man side of that, I feel, like I said before, I feel all men should come to therapy, man. For various reasons. A lot of men have, especially in our culture, deal with that childhood trauma piece, or that piece of something wasn't right, or that inner child piece, and they don't know what that is. I can speak to that a lot because I do that trauma focused therapy, and some people, like you alluded to earlier, you say, Coach B, I didn't deal with a lot of that childhood trauma. I compared to my homeboys, I felt like what I had going on was kind of Gucci. I was good, until I, start seeing me be affected in other categories. And you're right, because some of your friends, me and my wife talked about this the other night, and I'll tell you a story real quick. Me and the wife, she tell me, I don't get frustrated at things and overwhelmed with things. It's just kind of like it is what it is. Like it's I'm very very nonchalant.
Nonchalant, yeah.
It's whatever, baby. I just okay, cool. It's a scratch on the wall, whatever. You know, I'm that type of person. My wife, she gonna hit the roof every single time. She not playing. If it's a piece of water in the sink, she snapping. You know, if my son left his shoes or old girl snapping. She's not playing at all. You know, and she's able to kind of keep me in line when it comes to stuff like that. That's more that structure because she come from a military family. You know, and she's Puerto Rican Dominican, but she was raised in Japan. So she's very, very clean, you know, and she gets very frustrated at certain things, rightfully so. And I don't. But we just spoke about that one piece. The way my childhood was, everything is just in disarray. Everything is just dysfunction. I can function, John, in the dysfunction. I grew that callus from a little kid. Toys everywhere, roaches, rats, you know, clothes is never folded, never washed, you know, ass whoopings, you know, people drinking, people fussing, people fighting. That's normal. It's normal. We're not eating at the kitchen table. We eating in your room.
Right.
It's just none of that. I'm going outside until I get ready to come back in. It's normal stuff. In my wife's household, being clean, doing what you're supposed to do, being held accountable, being structured, being fundamentally sound is normal. So she didn't grow that callus of being in dysfunction. So whenever she feels dysfunction, it disrupts her vibration. It disrupts her aura. She hasn't built that callus of dysfunction like me. I've built that callus for 30 years.
Right.
So it doesn't affect
immune
me.
to you, right.
It's I'm immune to it.
Right.
But with her, it'll knock her off her square a little bit more. And I used to always come at her like, why you always mad? Why you always got attitude? But I had to think about it and say, she didn't grow up like this. This is called dysfunction in her household. And when she's like that, I need to stop saying, why you always mad, versus saying, you know what? Why can't I do what she need me to do to keep this household in order and in line to make sure she's at peace and make sure our household is at peace. Right. So I just had to look at it a little bit different. So whenever your homeboys say, man, John, man, you ain't really, that's nothing. John didn't grow up like that. So whatever that something is or something, that little disrespect, John hitting the roof because you got to respect him. Mm-hmm. Y'all can probably deal with it because you dealt with disrespect. But in John's household, he didn't deal with disrespect. So when somebody disrespect him, he gonna stand 10 toes down. It's gonna affect him a little bit more, right? That's you know, when John says something, you know, and it's the right thing to do, bro, we gotta follow that. We gotta, bro, we all hands on deck. Let's do it. But somebody else, it may not affect them like that. But for you, it's gonna affect you. But now we have to respond a little bit different. But still, you know,
convey that same message.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Something else I want to get your point of view on before we get up out of here.
Absolutely.
You know, now in college football, it's a different era right now, you know, with NIL. And I just seen a clip about Nick Saban. He was saying how, you know, for the past 50 years, you know, it's always been about respect. It's always been about development of the players. And, you know, his wife, they'll have the recruits and everybody over. And all they care about now is the money. How much you going to get paid? What we going to do for me? This and this and that. Speak to the kid, because that's a mental change. Speak to that. Like based off, you know, everybody has a dollar amount because where they're ranked, what the, you know, what the you know, the rank or recruiters say they are or whatnot. Speak to that kid in the mindset of, you know, because it's been a very big change here in the last year or so, especially in that realm of kids getting paid damn near more than professionals. Yeah, I think it's been happening, but it's kind of been going under the radar. We've heard kind of glimpses of it. It's always been there.
It's always been there. So I would say if that's the rules, you know, kids, go get your money, do what you do, you know, ball out. You know, like a lot of times we know coming from a place that we come from, this is life-changing money. and these kids will never, some of them will never reach that level, and all they have to hang their hat on is that athleticism. So it plays right into how it's kind of always should have been, because there's so much money into college football, as they've been exploiting these kids for so many years. I've always felt there should be some type of system to where these kids are able to get paid. I don't think it should be like you get paid more versus you get paid more, but hey, we are a team or we are the business, and we pay our athletes because we're making billions of dollars off of these kids. Mind you, these kids are between the ages of 17 and 21 years old, 22 years old. So we're making billions of dollars off of these kids, but not giving them anything at all, but a scholarship in art or culinary arts, something that they may not ever use. I don't think that's right. So I think the kids should go out there and get what's rightfully theirs. It does change it a little bit and make it about the money, but it shouldn't be only about the money. Now, as far as the Nick Saban piece of it, I felt that he's in a space to where he can't win at this game.
It's leverage now.
It's leverage, and I feel that. I don't know if he was paying his athletes, but I do know that he just found a system that worked for him, and he was the popular guy on the campus. Like that's just what it was, and it was they had that factory down there, and you come down there and they was the biggest, baddest, and you're gonna go to it's a higher percentage. You're gonna go to the NFL. Now the playing field is even. Now you can go to the NFL from any team. You get looked at from any team, and it's not about who has the best record. Now it's about who can put me in the best position, or who has who can recruit the best. It kind of been about recruiting, but I think now that he's not the best recruiter now. It's more people now that can put him in higher who can put these kids in higher positions than what he can, because they've already reached the top of their in their category, such as Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders can talk to people that Nick Saban can't talk to, or Nick Saban can't get access to. Deion can. So I think that when the Deion came in, or that aura of coaching, it just changed it, and he couldn't compete to where it was going to be more on a consistent basis. So he just, hey, let me 86
out.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Real quick, Simbi, can you also expand on the perspective of the high school 3.5, 4-star prospect who might not get the bag? Like, talk a little bit about the mentals now of not getting paid or not making it when maybe some of your teammates at the high school level now are. It's almost like this world of judgment is now getting younger and younger. Obviously, you can factor in social media and rankings and things like that, but just maybe the mentals for some of the younger kids there.
Okay. As far as the mental capacity of the kids that are the 2 or 3-star kids versus the 4 and 5-star kids, I would say that social media has a big part to play in that, because they see the kids posting, I got an offer from LSU, I got an offer from Alabama, and they are in school with these kids like this is a regular kid,
right? And
they see this kid about to turn up. I would say making sure that they stay poised and just keep working hard, keep working their butt off, because when those college scouts come see that kid at the games, you need to turn up. If you feel you're on that level or just as good as this other guy, when the college athletes come, when the recruiters come, you have to turn up, because game film don't lie. And when you popping out on the game film of a coach that's looking at game film, they're gonna see you. They're gonna see you. So it's never, don't get into a tug of war or a popularity contest of, well, if I'm not on that level, let me just go ahead and not play football, or let me 86 my hopes and my dreams. No, this is when you grind harder, because maybe in those pockets you wasn't the best. Maybe you haven't been practicing as hard as you need to. Maybe you haven't been looking at as much game film as you need to. Maybe you haven't been hitting the weights as much as you need to. Maybe that GPA is not where it should be. These are all factors that play into you being able to make a name for yourself. There's no excuses. Don't look at what somebody else did. Don't look at what somebody else have Only look at it from a self perspective. Just say it's hard to say I wasn't good enough or I'm not good enough. People can't sit with that. And the moment you can sit with that in the mirror and say, hey, you know what? As a kid, I wasn't good enough because I didn't put enough work in. Once you understand that, that's when you can get up and go put the work in. You know what you need to do now. And you see this 5-star, this 4-star recruit cross town on the other side of Florida, whatever the case may be, and you know you're just as fast or you're just as good, go put that work in.
Yeah.
Go tap in.
I agree. So just to piggyback off of you, bro, like I've been the one that, you know, when I was in college, I mean, a bunch of my boys went to the combine.
Yeah.
You know, saying got drafted and all this, but you know, I was blessed to be able to do things that they wasn't able to do.
Yes,
Some
sir.
of them didn't be able to play in the league or get active or last as long as I did. You know what I'm saying? And like to me, whereas I didn't do much. You know what I'm saying? I did more than what they did, and they done been to places that I haven't been.
Yes.
So like, you know, that's just one thing I always try to tell kids myself is like, just run your own race. Like, you know, I ran track. And shit, and track is between you and them like white in that lane. Stay in your lane, you know what I'm saying? Like, because what you might not have later, right? What you might not have now don't mean that's gonna affect what you have later.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their own race. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got their own journey.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Just like that's about, you know, even about the podcast, we talk about a big segment in our podcast is called The Journey.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? How multiple people come from different places, cut from different cloths, because ultimately get to the same destination.
Yes.
And how you might get there, some might get there slower than the others, some might get there faster, but as long as you put your mind to it, there's no reason why you can't get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Coach B, man, where can they find you on the socials and tap in?
Listen, tap in all social media platforms. Touchdown Therapy, all one word. Type in Touchdown Therapy, all one word, on Instagram and also on TikTok. When you go on my TikTok or my Instagram, click link in the bio. It's gonna push you to my web page. You can either send me a DM. My number is on my social media as well. You can tap that link for my number and just send me a direct message or just call me. Or go on that link on my website, go all the way to the bottom and fill out an inquiry. Your name, number, email, and a message of why are you seeking therapy or mentoring or coaching. And once I get that, I will be calling you back within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Coach B, appreciate you, dog.
Hey, man, all love, man.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
yes,
man,
sir.
y'all stay tuned. Thank y'all for sticking with us on another episode of 1,000 Hours Out the Mud.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you tap in on all the socials. Wherever you at, we at.
Yes, sir.
AHOTM _. Can't forget it.
Yes,
Can't
sir.
cheat the grind. Got to put in the time. 1,000 Hours Out the Mud. Until next time. Love.
That's